Yeah, it's much cooler today, but seasonally appropriate for spring. But a bit of a heat wave last few days was like 95, 3 or 4 days in a row. Whatever the last day it was hot. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. This must have been the day before. Um, went to the skate park. Went skating for a little bit. I got there later than I would have wanted to. Um, the what little bit of shade there is on the spot where the skate park is gone by 10 o'clock. So I usually like to go early, like really early, like 8. Um, I like to have the place to myself, and there's usually not anybody there, especially on like a weekday. Um, you don't start to see like crowds of people showing up to like afternoon usually. Maybe that'll be different in the summertime when school's out or whatnot. But so I got there like maybe 10 after 9. Um, it was already pretty hot. I did bring sunblock spray on, but I hadn't put it on yet. I just brought it with me because I wasn't sure how long I was going to be there. Two other guys showed up. I would guess they were probably a bit younger than me, but probably still in their 30s. They seemed like pretty cool guys. One guy was rollerblading, but he had a skateboard too. Then his buddy showed up a little bit later. Uh, said something about it was smart of me to bring sunblock, and I said that they were welcome to use it. Uh, and they did, and I'm glad they did because it was brutally hot and sunny, and you can't be out in it that long before it, you know, before you get burnt. Even though it seems kind of early in the season, it doesn't take much. I used to not be very good about wearing sunblock. Part of it, I think, was kind of like a sensory aversion to the greasiness and the smell. Um, but lately, I've been using the spray on sunblocks, and they're not greasy, and you can hardly feel them going on. It's like spraying on bug spray, so I find them to be much more preferable and manageable. But yeah, I didn't stay real long. I probably stayed longer than I would have if it hadn't showed up. It's I generally prefer skating by myself, but it's kind of cool meeting new people and like the camaraderie and people psych each other up. So that was cool. Um, Maybe I'll run into them again. It was Wednesday. Yeah, they said they get there on Wednesdays. Uh, So from there, I went swimming in the lake um, for the first time for the year. I like to go there regularly and as often as I can when it's warm enough. But I was a little bit concerned that it being pretty early in the year that it probably wasn't warm enough to be comfortable. But um, I had just stopped by there on Sunday because I was passing through, and I had my trunks with me, but I didn't really feel like doing all that right then. But I did get in and wade like knee deep with my street clothes on. So and it was comfortable. I mean, there was no reason that I wouldn't have thought that I could have gone swimming, but a couple more days of 95-degree weather, and at least the top 2 feet of it gets almost like bath water eventually. But it was comfortable. Um, Sometimes it's a bit jarring when you're walking into cooler water, but there was none of that. It was just a nice, easy transition. So I don't know what the temperature was exactly of the water, but it was it was comfortable. But anyway, there's never usually like a whole lot of people there, and there wasn't. I only saw like a couple other cars in the parking lot, and I could see that there was like people just walking around. Nobody was in the water, but they got a couple different pavilions, and I saw 2 people in one pavilion, one person in another one, and then the one in the middle was vacant. So I got my stuff, and I was walking to that empty pavilion, and over in the first pavilion, I could hear uh, there's a man and woman over there, probably I would guess maybe like early 20s or like late high school years. I don't really know. They seem like adults just from the tone of their voice, but um, guy was on the phone arguing with another guy, I assume, over the girl that he was with, I assume. Like way too loud for like a uh, public place. Like no self or spatial or social or situational awareness whatsoever. Dude was just like yelling into the phone. It was like irritating, but also a bit comically absurd. Like, it reminded me of like, and I was never a fan of this, but it reminded me of like, I don't know, maybe like 2010s or something YouTube, where like people would like go act a fool in public just to try to get a reaction out of somebody and get it on film. That's what it reminded me of. Like, it didn't seem like dead serious. It was like real juvenile and petty and almost like secondhand embarrassed for the dude and the girl that was with him. It was like, I couldn't imagine being in public with somebody that would just do that unabashedly. So I set my stuff down and I was like, well, I'll just swim across the lake and back like I often do. I got about halfway across. I can still hear this dude yelling into his phone. And I was like, well, I'm not going to swim all the way across because I got like my car keys in my pocket. And if people are acting like unpredictably in public, kind of like raises your situational awareness to be more mindful of what's going on. So I was like, well, I'll just stay closer to the shore in case, you don't know what people are going to do or whatever. So I get back there and the dude's still like yelling, yelling into his phone to some other person. It was like, I wasn't even sure there was somebody on the other end because it was like I would never stay on the phone if somebody was talking to me like that, you know? Like I didn't know if he was like putting on a show to try to impress the lady he was with or what. It was just like way too loud. Like I don't need complete silence. It's obvious like he's got something going on. He was upset about something or whatever. Fair enough, but like, keep it at a at least moderate or respectable volume. You know, in consideration for the fact that you're in a public place. You know, and I'm not generally confrontational or aggressive, but he was just like ruining my whole vibe of my day, trying to chill out and swim and relax. So I was like, hey buddy, can you shut the fuck up or get somewhere? And I didn't hear what he said in response. He kind of like muttered a little bit, but he did tone it down, which I appreciated. And he did end up leaving, which I appreciated. Uh, but you know, I don't like being put in that position. I don't ever want to have to bark on somebody, but I will. You know, somebody had to tell him, and I was the only one there to do it. So I guess that was my public service for the day. Um, but yeah, it went well. It was nice. Uh, Enjoyed my swim. I like going there. Um, Questionable water quality though. um, they do, or they used to, allegedly test it weekly, and then sometimes after long periods of high temperatures or like heavy rains or whatever, uh, it'll fail a test for like high counts of fecal bacteria or whatever, and they post the no swimming advisory. But at some point last year, they just put up a sign that said like swim at your own risk, pretty much. So I don't know if that means they're not going to continue to test it, or if it's because they don't have any lifeguards on the beach. So it's kind of like swim at your own risk anyway. Um, I mean, I've never. I guess I have heard of people drown there. Maybe not recently, but yeah, it's nice. Um, I'm glad that there's something like that reasonably local. I mean, it's still probably maybe 30 minutes drive from me, which is about the same, maybe a little bit less as like the Ocean Beach, but the traffic and the crowds there is just ridiculous, especially in the summer. So this is, Memorial Day weekend. Um, if it weren't for the weather, it'd probably be a lot worse than it is. But we went from that 3 4 days of like 90 degrees, 90 plus degrees, to like 70 or less, and rain for the next week or so. So that'll probably keep it a little bit more reasonable. But like weekends, it's just ridiculous the traffic. So if I were going to go to the Ocean Beach, which I haven't lately, I would probably go very early on a weekday, probably like middle of the week, like Wednesday or something, because sometimes people come for the weekend and hang through Monday or whatever. Um, I have been wanting to get out to the bay, which is much closer. It's probably like maybe 10, 15 minutes drive from here, because there's the like annual migration, I guess, of horseshoe crabs. So that's something I'd like to see, maybe get video of, and people go out there and flip them over if they get turned upside down from the waves or whatever, because they can't really like right themselves very easily, and they'll just bake in the sun and get eaten by seagulls. And they can be a bit troublesome if you're trying to enjoy the water, but it's a neat thing to see. Something so ancient. Um, and I'm not really sure how wide their range is. I know this is like a very, I mean, it's a particular hotspot for them, but I don't know how far they range out of the area that I'm in. So I don't know if it's like specifically local to us, but I know it's like they're very, very prevalent where I am this time of year. So maybe tomorrow I'll go out there. I wanted to do it today before they got dark, but I kind of got distracted, so I didn't. But that's all right. And today I'm gonna have to look at my buddy's air conditioner because it had quit working. Um, it's pretty old. I think it's probably about 25 years old, and the um, just from talking to him over the phone before I even went out there, determined that the bearings in the fan motor had failed because it was difficult to spin by hand. But I went out there to give him a hand anyway, taking it off, taking the blade off. Got to get a replacement motor and capacitor and get that put back together. Um, he's a little ways away, maybe about 40 minutes. Um, kind of northwest of here. But I used to live out that way, real close to where he's at. Um, and he used to live right across the street till recently, so it's nice to see him. I don't get to see him as often anymore. But yeah, I was looking at the air conditioner. And I could see under his back deck he had some wild lettuce, uh, slightly different from the one that I have. The one I have is a prickly lettuce. The one that he has is a native wild lettuce. I think it's the Lactusa canadensis, and the leaves are similar, more similar in shape to a dandelion than the leaves on mine. And they do still have spines on the midrib of the leaves, but not as thick of spines as the prickly lettuce. And when you snap the leaves off, this white kind of latex sap comes out, and on the native ones, it kind of oxidizes and turns yellow. Not long after you crack it open, so that's one way to tell which one you're looking at. But yeah, they're much less bitter than the prickly lettuce, but I don't really mind the bitterness, especially mixed with other things. But the one he had over his house, it kind of reminded me. It was pretty close to dandelions, but probably less bitter. Um, I probably should have dug one up and brought it over here so I can collect seeds from it when it bolts, but I didn't. I guess maybe I'll give him a hand when he gets the parts in, so maybe I can dig them up then. At least one of them. He had a few of them, pretty tall ones. The one I have out front is probably about knee high. The one we had last year got to be about like 7, 8 feet. Um, I don't think I got any seeds from it though. But I'm starting to get a good collection of seeds, different stuff. I got dandelions and red shiso, pawpaw, persimmon, cherry, uh, peaches, nectarines, a few different kinds of pumpkins. I planted some of the pumpkins from them Queens and Blues that I got from my neighbor for Halloween that I made pumpkin soup out of. So we'll see what they do after this rain. I got a bunch of them passion flower passion flower vines popping up all over the place. Quite a few of them inside the blueberry enclosure, which is not preferable or ideal, but I guess I can dig them up and transplant them if other people want them. But yeah, they have real pretty alien looking flowers. They're like circular, but they're like radiating fingers from them, and they're purple and yellow and white. Um, you get these little green fruits about the shape and size of a lime. Uh, when they're all the way ripe, they got like a real sweet tropical flavor. And we had a whole bunch of them last year, but when they're not all the way ripe, they kind of taste like somewhere between like cucumber and lime, and not bad. But when they're like fully ripe and sweet, they taste really, really good. But they don't get ripe till like late fall. Got a couple other projects to get to around here. Um, we had a like an outdoor carpet on top of the back patio that we cut up to throw it away, but I thought they would be better repurposed for the flower beds as kind of like a barrier to keep weeds growing through. Like you'd use a fabric underlayer or whatever, but it's thicker. But the water passes through it freely, so I thought I could put that down and then cover it with mulch. So I got some of that sorted behind the roses, and I got to do the other half that'll go across around the front side of them. So I won't have to worry about weeds growing up in there as they do. And over in the other flower bed, I got to see if I can dig beneath the butterfly bush so I can get it reseeded deeper in the ground because it got a little bit too top and front heavy, and the weight of the snow and ice over the winter kind of uprooted it a bit. And it's not the first time because it sits right where the two there's a valley where the two roofs meet, like the roof of the house and the roof of the garage meet. There's a valley, so when it rains real hard, it dumps water right on top of the butterfly bush, and there's like hard pan, not real far down beneath the topsoil. So it's like it dumps so much water on there, it kind of turns to the topsoil into quicksand. And the butterfly bush was so top and front heavy, it just tipped forward. And re-uprighted it and secured it with a stake and chain, and I figured I would just do that to hold it until got resituated or whatever, rerouted, and then I took it off. I took the chain off, and the next time we got a heavy rain, it just fell over again. So been an ongoing issue. It probably could have been avoided if we just kept it trimmed, but it grows pretty fast and aggressively. Even if we cut it real far back, like I cut it down to probably like maybe 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall, and it'll grow up to easily, 8, 10. It's nice to have in the space we have it because it offers some um, privacy and shade if you're sitting on the porch, and it draws pollinators and butterflies and some of them clear wing hummingbird moths that look like little flying fuzzy shrimp. So it's nice to have, even though it's non-native, and maybe we could find something better to go in its place. I I really would like to have a spice bush here, and I have some dried spice bush berries. I haven't tried to plant or sprout any of them, but I do have a few left, so I could try that. That might work. Um, but that would probably be preferable since it's native and also beneficial to local pollinators, spice bush swallowtails, some other stuff I think. But you can use the twigs and leaves to make tea, and the berries are have long been used as a seasoning, but it's a unique and kind of odd flavor profile. I had heard it's good with different game. The only thing I've ever used it for is in my marinade for my venison jerky, and it turned out really good. But it smelled kind of weird because the taste of the berries is somewhere between like a grapefruit and black pepper, but it's got like a kind of savoriness to it, and it's got kind of like a solvent, lingering oiliness to it, which isn't unpleasant, but it is a bit weird and takes some getting used to. Um, One thing I really like to do with them was to crush them up in the mortar and pestle and put them into beef broth. They were good that way. So I'd make like a cup of beef broth from water and powdered beef bouillon, but I put in some um, sesame oil, Worcestershire sauce, grated ginger, maybe some black pepper, and some of them ground spice bush berries. So good, so good. So that is something that I do like to forage for. Um, One of the main ones that I would forage from was out at the same place I used to forage for pawpaws. They're things that often grow in close proximity to one another. So if you see one, you like and see the other. but I guess for whatever reason, the state cut the tree line back further from the road, and they cut down easily dozens of pawpaw trees, white mulberry trees, spice bush. Really is kind of kind of tragic. Uh, I don't know what their motivation was. I don't know if it was just like keep a clearer tree line farther from the road to keep potential for branches falling on cars, or keeping from like critters running out in front of people. I mean, I would suspect they must have thought or assumed that they had good reason, or it did more good than harm. But I don't know if anybody, I mean, me, really knew or cared they were there. But they are beneficial to uh, pollinators and wildlife. So it was a shame to see them go, not just for like the fact that I like to go get them myself, but just like if you're a good steward of the earth, it provides the things that you need. So it seems like a shame to just destroy that stuff. I mean, it's not like they like. I guess in the big picture, there's like still plenty of trees there, just like not as easy for me to forage from them. So not that that's my main complaint. It just seemed more destructive than beneficial to do what they did. But I couldn't really say one way or the other. So they usually get right middle of August, middle of September. Um, oh, I got some service berries too. I don't know if I said that. Uh, they're also called June berries. They kind of look like a reddish purple blueberry, but they're actually in the rose and apple family. So it's common ornamental. You see them in like grocery store parking lots or like along main streets in towns, things like that, because I guess they do pretty well in poor soils or surrounded by concrete. But yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of them because I still have some in the freezer from last year. They're kind of like a kind of similar to a blueberry, but with like no tartness whatsoever. Kind of tastes more like a really ripe pear, I guess. And then the seeds got little bit of like a almond or amaretto kind of flavor to them. But yeah, I got all that pulp in the freezer from last year, and I still have some service berries and mulberries from last year in the freezer. I meant to get some cans of coconut milk and or coconut cream to make some ice cream. Um, Not that I'm opposed to using dairy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using like half and half or light cream or whatever. Um, but I have made it in the past with coconut milk, and you probably wouldn't know that it wasn't dairy unless somebody told you, which I thought was cool. Um, but the I used coconut milk, and coconut cream has a higher percentage of fat, so I think that would be even better. So I'm curious to try that. And I've got all that Paw pulp that I haven't used. And we got a whole like chest freezer full of different fruits, so like peaches that we grew from last year, and blueberries and strawberries, and so we got to put a dent in some of that stuff because it won't be long before we're harvesting the stuff from this year, and we got nowhere to put it. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. I guess I could make like fruit leathers. I'd done that before and it turned out pretty good. What else? Uh, got the front brakes done in the car. That's pretty cool. I got the accessory belt tensioner, either pulley and bearings replaced. Probably gonna need to do the starter one day eventually. Not in a super big hurry. Just hangs up every once in a while. Like it seems like the solenoid doesn't disengage as soon as it ought to, so it kind of gives a little bit of a grind. Like if you were to try to start it when it was already running, similar kind of sound of that. So it's not ideal and probably will be a problem here eventually. It's getting to be an older car, 15 years old, almost 220,000 miles. So I need to check the refrigerant charge too. And just today I found my adapters to adapt my like residential refrigerant manifold to hook it up to a car. So the pressure temperature gauges don't have 134 on there, but I know the conversion, so I don't think it's that low. It's just a little bit low. Or if you got like a, if it's above like 80 and you got like an hour trip, towards the end of it, it'll start to fade. So I think the evaporator coil is freezing up because it's a little bit low on charge. I know for a fact that it's low on charge, but I just haven't gotten a chance to get the gauges on there yet. But it's supposed to be pretty mild and reasonable for the next probably a week at least. I don't know when we're going to see some especially high temperatures again, but next chance I get where it's like 75 or above, I'll probably take care of that. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Uh, if you stop by, thanks for stopping by. If not, I guess catch you next time.